Did you know there are currently 408,425 foster care children in the U.S.? Did you know 50% of girls in foster care are pregnant by 19? 74% of former foster kids are in U.S. prisons. 50% are incarcerated within 2 years of aging out of the system. And did you know 80% of the people on death row are former foster youth? Some unintended consequences of ineffective foster care include jail time, gang activity, teen pregnancy, disturbing behavior like abuse and even murder, homelessness, drug abuse, depression, and even more. Some changes need to be made. There is an extreme lack of trauma-informed care, lack of proper placement, lack of funding, resources, and training, lack of continuity of care, lack of cohesion between agencies and agents of foster care, lack of aging out programs, lack of self-determination for the foster care youths, and a lack of effectively written policy. The majority of children entering and exiting the foster care system have been exposed to multiple forms of trauma, including neglect, abandonment, mental, physical, and sexual abuse, poverty, and violence. Trauma-informed care should be the philosophy of contemporary foster care, not just a strategy. Lack of proper placement accounts for many runaways, which are draining resources and interrupting placement. Foster care children are running away to reunite with their families of origin or to be with friends because most of the time their new environment is too structured, which is something that's foreign to them. Sometimes they run away because they're experiencing abuse, neglect, and dysfunction in the foster care setting. When they run away, they're engaging in typical adolescent risk-taking behavior. Foster care youth who run away face many traumatizing circumstances which only perpetuates their lack of psychosocial development. Federal and state funds are not adequately meeting the housing needs of foster care emerging adults, and while some may argue that certain funds aren't in our nation's budget, it is important to understand the impact of such ramifications before deciding where our money should be put. Around 25,000 foster care youth age out of the system annually, and 31% of them will experience homelessness within their first few years of being alone. Poorly developed psychosocial skills contribute to homelessness, while exposure to more trauma results from homelessness. Red tape, meaning excessive bureaucracy or adherence to rules and formality, especially in public business, creates lack of self-determination and undercuts educational goals, which leads to a higher dropout rate. It fosters litigation and mistrust amongst service delivery agents. It also inhibits psychosocial development. It leads to improper placement, which perpetuates the cycle of trauma and increases the risk of running away. Foster care is in crisis across America and reform is needed. The foster care system needs increased funding, cohesive and integrated policies, early intervention, continuity of care, to increase the age of foster care recipients to 21, trauma-informed care, prevention of secondary trauma for service delivery personnel, decreased caseloads, improved assessments, culturally appropriate interventions, opportunities to engage in meaningful activities, increased access to positive role models and caregivers, opportunities for leadership and individualized treatment and intervention plans aimed at self-determination and self-actualization. Yes, most of these things require a larger budget for our nation's tax dollars, and a lot of people argue against it, but it's necessary to spend more to get more. Increased funding for all aspects of the foster care system will result in more successful adults that can contribute positively to our communities and economies. The issues in the foster care system are a direct social justice issue, which falls under the umbrella of a social worker's job. It's a problem of the youth of our country and their well-being. It's vital to have a qualified and stable workforce that's the foundation of child welfare. Social workers are constantly being thrown in challenging situations that force them to make even more challenging decisions, considering the lives of these at-risk children. On top of that, they are faced with stressful work environments and heavy caseloads, all while receiving a pretty low salary. Regardless, social workers need the right education, proper support, and adequate resources to be able to come to good outcomes for these youth and enhance their overall well-being. Social workers are actively acting to reform the foster care system. Trisha B. Bent-Goodley, PhD, MSW, LICSWC, a professor and the chair of the macro sequence at the Howard University School of Social Work in Washington, D.C., is pushing for the importance of strengthening the families of origin. She says it's a mistake to separate the development of children from families. She wants better funding for prevention, which has proven effective even though foster care and adoption are normally given more funding. Carol Wilson Spigner, MSW, DSW, the Kenneth L. M. Prey Professor at the University of Pennsylvania School of Social Policy and Practice in Philadelphia, and one of 16 people on the Pew Commission of Children in Foster Care, says that we must start paying more attention to how we're training and supervising the social workforce for child welfare. She's quoted saying that a good portion of the workforce on the front line across the country doesn't have a professional training. We ask them to make tough decisions. We ask them to go into circumstances where they can't predict what's going to happen. I would say both of these reforms would fall under the macro level of intervention in social work because their efforts help clients in large-scale systems. Option number 1 would be to offer respite care. Obviously, not everyone is in the position to foster and/or adopt a foster kid. Offering respite care could entail offering an extra set of hands when a foster family in your neighborhood is in dire need of a little help. This could include babysitting, going to the grocery store, cooking, etc. Another thing you could do to help is simply volunteer. There are so many volunteer opportunities that help children in the foster care system. Tutoring, reading to them, or just simply hanging out with them could make a world of difference. Becoming a driver is option number 3. With over 400,000 kids in foster care, there comes a lot of appointments. Driving kids to the doctor, to their birth families, and to school for a foster care agency is an easy way to help the cause. The 4th option entails becoming a court-appointed special advocate, which is someone who volunteers their time to the court and foster homes to make sure that the children are accounted for. The 5th and final way to help would be to offer jobs to children in the foster care system. By giving them a chance, you could give them work experience and self-esteem. As you can see, there's many ways to offer to help a foster child in need that don't involve opening up your home. Thanks for watching and making a difference in the life of a foster care child.